Is your company still using MRP to plan materials requirements? Aren't you tired of dealing every day with issues caused by MRP deviations and making adjustments on Excel spreadsheets? Is everyone in your company blaming the planner because he or she is not able to balance supply and demand? Are you constantly looking for better forecasting tools because your forecast error is just too big? Maybe you should stop living in the 70s, because that's when MRP was developed. And even the most recent and updated versions that are embedded in today's ERP systems are based on the same principles. The business environment was very different in the 70s. There were no cell phones, there was no internet, and we were not globalized. Customers were more tolerant. They waited until they arrived home or at the office to make a phone call. They waited a full day to see the pictures they took with their cameras because those images were on film. They developed long-term relationships with their suppliers, and they looked for products that were simple and that would endure years. So product life cycles were very long, and their demand was very, very predictable. Also, supply chains were very simple. They had few members, and most of those members were local, so lead times were short. In that business environment in which supply uncertainty was low and demand was predictable, MRP systems were fine. But in today's business environment, we have a very different scenario. Customers now have low tolerance to long lead times. They want to get things immediately because they are used to electronic commerce. They also want more product variety because they want a product that will satisfy their personal needs. They even want customization. And they are hungry for innovation. They want more features from products that need to be more complex and have more components. And they will replace those products very easily because the next new thing is just around the corner. They can also switch from one supplier to another very easily because the new supplier is very close to them, reachable by one touch. And supply chains are now more complex. We have more suppliers from all around the globe. Some of them have very long lead times, and we have high lead time variability. So what happens when in today's business environment with high supply uncertainty and unpredictable demand, we want to use MRP systems? An MRP system is just a big calculator. Based on what the company has, the current inventory, what the company produces, the bill of materials of all item references, and what the company needs and when to fulfill demand, the MRP system calculates what the company needs to order. Then the planner has the challenge to match that to what the company can get and when. In the business environment of the 70s, product life cycles were long and the product portfolios didn't change much. So we had little changes in bill of materials. Also, demand was predictable. There was a very small forecast error, and there was no change in what the company needs and when. So with no changes in inputs, we would have no changes in the outputs. Also, with low supply uncertainty, it was easy for the planner to match what the company needed to order to what the company could get. In today's business environment, we have a more dynamic product portfolio, and we know that demand is unpredictable. It can change abruptly. We have very high demand uncertainty and very high demand variability. So we will have changes in the inputs. Unfortunately, any small change in the input, in any input, will lead to big changes in the outputs because of lot sizes, lead times, and order release offsets. So also the planner has a greater challenge, because with high supply uncertainty, it is harder to match what the company needs to order to what the company can get and when. So we will have to make many adjustments here. The planner will make manual adjustments to the inputs because he knows he will not be able to fulfill all customers' orders. So by changing that input, also the system will create greater outputs, changes in the outputs, and this will become a never-ending loop, a planner's nightmare that would lead to the usage of Excel spreadsheets to try to balance supply and demand. Unfortunately, that will only lead to shortages, overstock, and not many happy faces. The good news is that today we have DDMRP, Demand-Driven Materials Requirements Planning. With DDMRP, inventory is no longer replenished based on a forecast. DDMRP uses inventory buffers that are replenished based on demand signals, preventing from shortages and overstock. DDMRP buffers are strategically positioned to absorb variability, and they protect from both supply and demand uncertainty. DDMRP buffers are dynamically adjusted, so they change size based on demand, and inventory is kept at an optimal level. Does this sound too good to be true? The list of companies that have successfully implemented DDMRP in the last few years is long and growing. And there are many technology vendors offering DDMRP solutions, including SAP. SAP users can get access to DDMRP through SAP HANA. But if you're in the threshold wanting to leave MRP behind and embrace DDMRP, you should first become an ISCEA certified demand-driven planner. An ISCEA certified demand-driven planner is recognized not only because his profound knowledge of DDMRP, but because he understands how DDMRP fits in the digital supply chain. An ISCEA certified demand-driven planner is trained in inventory control basics, Lean Six Sigma, and the theory of constraints. But he is also trained in demand sensing, demand shaping, and analytics. So he can lead demand-driven supply chain initiatives in the digital era. ISCEA, the International Supply Chain Education Alliance, was the first organization certifying demand-driven planners and supply chain managers around the globe, and it is the authoritative resource for supply chain career validation. If you want to become an ISCEA certified demand-driven planner, you should contact an authorized knowledge provider in your country through ISCEA's regional websites. Or you can get trained online and start today.